I'm writing this because I don't know what else to do. I tried reporting it. I tried ignoring it. I even tried convincing myself it was just stress. But I can't sleep anymore. And if something happens to me, at least this will exist somewhere. Maybe someone out there has seen the same thing. Maybe someone can explain it. Or maybe you'll read this and realize it's already started near you. I moved into my apartment in early 2026. Nothing fancy. One bedroom, 5th floor, thin walls, radiator that hisses like it's breathing. The kind of place where you hear your neighbors sneeze and the subway hum underneath the building like a distant mechanical heartbeat. It's normal here. Noise is part of the rent. My windows face a construction site across the street. For months before I moved in, it had been empty. A fenced-off lot with a faded permit sign zip-tied to the gate. The sign said, "Future Residential Development." No start date, no company branding, just a city permit number and a QR code that didn't work. I barely noticed it at first, until the noise started. The first night I heard it was around 2:13 a.m. I remember because I checked my phone. I couldn't sleep, too much caffeine. I was scrolling mindlessly when, clang, metal striking metal. Then another, and another. Rhythmic, deliberate. I rolled over and looked through the gap in my blinds. The site was lit, floodlights, bright white, like a stadium. There were people moving inside the fence, workers in reflective vests and hard hats, operating machinery, digging, hammering. It annoyed me more than anything. Construction at 2 a.m. in this city? That's a violation. I figured I'd call 311 in the morning. Then I went back to bed. The next night, it happened again. 2:13 a.m. Exactly. Floodlights snapped on all at once. No warm-up flicker, just instant daylight in the lot. The workers appeared too. Not walking in, not arriving, just there, already working. I didn't see a truck, didn't hear engines, didn't see them unlock the gate. They were just inside, moving in unison, not talking, no shouting, no music, just tools, metal, concrete grinding. The sound carried up the building and into my bones. I filmed it on my phone, or I tried to. When I checked the video the next morning, the lot was dark, empty, no lights, no workers. The timestamp still read 2:14 a.m., but it was just a black rectangle. I figured it was glare from the window, or my phone adjusting to low light. I told myself I was being paranoid. On the third night, I stayed awake on purpose. 12:30 a.m., 1 o'clock, 1:45. The lot was dead, cold, empty. At 2:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. No notification, just a vibration. The screen lit up for a split second, then went dark. 2:13, floodlights. Instant, like someone flipped a switch in the sky. The workers were there again. Same positions as the previous nights. One near a jackhammer, two by a steel beam, one inside the excavator. And this time, I realized something. They weren't building anything. There was no visible progress, no foundation, no framework. The dirt was disturbed, sure, but it looked the same as it had a week ago, like they were pretending, performing the idea of construction, going through motions, but not changing the site. I watched for an hour. They never once looked up. By the fifth night, I started noticing patterns. They all moved at the same speed, no variation, no hesitation. When one raised a hammer, the others shifted slightly at the exact same moment. Not identical movements, but synchronized, like parts of a larger machine. Their shadows bothered me most. The floodlights were harsh, direct, but sometimes the shadows moved before they did, a fraction of a second early. I told myself it was angle distortion, sleep deprivation, urban anxiety. You know how your brain fills in gaps when you're tired? Yeah, that. I asked my neighbor about it. Thin guy, works remote, Always smells like burnt coffee. I said, "Hey, have you heard the construction across the street at night?" He blinked at me. "What construction?" "The lot. Floodlights. Workers. Around 2 a.m." He stared like I'd asked if he'd seen aliens. "It's been empty since I moved in." "When was that?" 2023. He closed his door slowly. That night I didn't watch from my window. I went outside. I don't know why. Curiosity, I guess, or stubbornness. The street was quiet. Streetlights flickering in that faint orange way they do when it's too cold. No cars, no people. The fence around the site looked the same as always. Padlock on the gate, rust creeping along the chain links. The lot inside was pitch black. No lights, no workers. I checked my phone. 2:12 a.m. My stomach tightened. I stayed on the sidewalk, waiting. 2:13. Nothing happened. No lights, no sound, just wind pushing trash along the curb. I laughed at myself out loud. "See?" I whispered. "Nothing." Then I felt it. A vibration. Not my phone, the ground. Subtle, like something heavy shifting beneath the dirt. I turned toward the lot. The floodlights turned on, but this time, they were facing me. Blinding, white, all of them angled outward instead of inward. I couldn't see into the site anymore, just light. My eyes burned. And then I heard footsteps, not from inside the fence, from behind me. I spun around. No one there. The sidewalk was empty. When I turned back, the workers were standing at the fence, all of them, in a line, facing me, still, hard hats tilted slightly downward. I couldn't see their faces, just shadow where faces should be. No tools, no movement. I stepped back. They stepped forward, perfectly synchronized, until they were pressed against the fence. The chain links rattled softly. None of them spoke, but I felt it, like pressure in my skull, a question or an assessment. Then the lights went out. Instantly, the lot was empty again. My ears rang. I ran home. After that, things changed. The construction didn't just stay outside, it followed me in. At 2:13 a.m., the noise started coming from inside my walls. Metal clanging behind drywall, drilling beneath my floorboards. The radiator began hissing in short, rhythmic bursts. Tap, 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 like someone testing the pipes. I put my ear to the wall once. I swear I heard breathing. Slow, mechanical. I tried staying somewhere else, a friend's place downtown. No view of the lot, no connection. At 2:13 a.m., his overhead light flicked on. Just once, then off. His smart speaker activated. Static. And then, a low grinding sound, like an engine starting underground. He blamed a power surge. I didn't argue. But when I checked my phone, I had a new photo in my gallery. Taken at 2:13 a.m., it showed the construction site, from above, like from a drone. Except I don't own a drone. And the angle was wrong, too high, too centered. In the photo, the workers were arranged in a perfect circle, in the middle of the lot. There was a hole, deep, perfectly round, and something inside it was reflecting light, like glass or an eye. I went back the next night. I don't know why. Maybe I needed proof. Maybe I needed to see if it was real. 2:13. Lights, workers. But now, they were digging, actually digging, the hole from the photo. I could see it from my window, a dark circle growing wider, deeper. And every few seconds, one of them would stop, tilt their head, and look directly at my building, at my window, even though my lights were off, even though I was barely breathing. They knew. 3 nights ago, the digging stopped. The hole is finished. I can see it clearly now. It's not a foundation. It's too smooth, too precise. The walls are lined with something metallic, reflective. And last night, at 2:13 a.m., They climbed inside. One by one, without ladders, without ropes. They just stepped over the edge and dropped down. No sound of impact, no echo. The floodlights stayed on, pointing into the hole. Then slowly, they began to tilt upward, toward my building, toward my window, like the first night I went outside, but stronger, brighter. I stepped back, and that's when I saw it. In my own room, reflected faintly in the dark window glass. A hard hat. Behind me. I turned. Nothing there. When I looked back at the window, the reflection was still there. Closer now, standing just behind my shoulder. I didn't move. I couldn't. Slowly, the reflection raised its hand and tapped on the inside of the glass. 3 times. The hole is still open. The lot is quiet during the day, but I noticed something this morning. There's a new permit sign on the fence. Clean, fresh. It reads, Subsurface Residential Expansion. No company name. Start date, February 13th, 26. Completion date, February 13th, 26. Estimated occupancy, 1. I don't think they're building apartments. I think they're building a space. For me. Every night at 2:13, my phone vibrates. No notification, just a vibration, like a reminder. Tonight is February 13th. I haven't looked outside yet. It's 2:12 a.m. right now. The walls are humming. The floor feels hollow. If the lights turn toward my window again, I don't think I'll see them across the street. I think I'll see them inside my apartment. Have any of you ever heard construction where nothing is being built? If you wake up at 2:13 tonight, don't look outside. And if you see floodlights turn on, check behind you first. I didn't plan to go back. After that first night, after I saw them digging under the floodlights with no machinery, no foreman, no logos on their jackets, I told myself it was none of my business. Just another weird NYC thing. This city thrives on weird. But the next morning, when I stepped into the hallway of my building, the air felt off, like someone had opened a freezer at the end of the corridor and left it running. The superintendent was waiting near the elevator. He's the type who never makes eye contact, always smells faintly of bleach and cigarettes. That morning, he was staring directly at my door. When he saw me, he smiled, too quickly. "Sleep okay?" he asked. His voice echoed strangely in the hall, like we were standing inside a hollow pipe. "Yeah," I said. "Why?" He shrugged, "Just checking." Then he stepped into the elevator without pressing a button. The doors closed on their own. That's when I heard it, a faint metallic scraping from inside my apartment. I stood frozen. I was sure I had locked it. I always double-check the deadbolt, always. My hand hovered over the knob. The scraping continued, slow, deliberate, like something sharp dragging across concrete. I opened the door. Silence. Everything looked normal. My couch, my desk, the dim afternoon light slipping between the blinds. But the air felt colder than the hallway, colder than outside, and the floor. The hardwood floor beneath my feet vibrated faintly, like distant machinery running underground. I knelt down, pressed my palm flat against the floorboards, and felt it, a rhythmic tremor, like digging. I pulled up the Citizen app. Nothing reported nearby, no roadwork, no gas line repairs, no subway maintenance scheduled. Just normal chaos, traffic accident, small fire, noise complaint. Nothing about a construction site operating overnight across from my building. Nothing about workers without logos. Nothing about floodlights that shut off at sunrise. I went to the window. The lot across the street looked untouched, empty. No machinery, no trenches, no footprints in the dirt, like it had never been disturbed. But when I looked closer, the soil looked darker, wetter, like something had been turned over and packed back down. That night I didn't turn off my lights. I told myself I was staying up late to observe. But really? I was scared to sleep. Around 1:17 a.m., the vibration started again. Stronger this time. My glass of water on the coffee table trembled. Tiny ripples, like footsteps, underneath me. I grabbed my phone, hit record, and pressed it to the floor. The audio sounded like static at first, but when I boosted the volume later, I heard it. Metal scraping, soft thudding, and something else. Breathing. Slow. Collective. Like a crowd inhaling at the same time. At 2:03 a.m., the floodlights turned on outside. I went to the window. They were back. Same workers. Same movements. No faces, just silhouettes bending and rising in unison. Digging. Always digging. But this time, they weren't in the lot. They were closer. Right up against the sidewalk, in front of my building. I backed away from the window. The floor vibrated violently now. A low rumble building beneath my feet, like something enormous shifting underground. Then, 3 loud knocks. From below, directly under where I stood. I stumbled back. The knocks came again. Measured. Intentional. Like someone testing the ceiling. Testing the thickness. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe panic. Maybe stupidity. But I grabbed a hammer from my kitchen drawer and struck the floor. Once, twice, hard. The vibration stopped instantly. The floodlights outside went dark. Complete silence. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. A text. Please do not interfere with the work. I stared at it. Another message came. You were not scheduled for awareness. My heart pounded so hard I thought I'd pass out. I typed back, Who is this? The reply came immediately. We are below you. The lights in my apartment flickered, then stabilized. My smart speaker activated on its own. I don't even use it. A distorted voice crackled through it, layered, like multiple voices speaking at once. We are almost through. I unplugged it. The vibration returned, stronger than before. The hardwood began to split, a thin crack running across the center of my living room, dust rising from between the boards. And through that crack, I saw light, harsh white light, from beneath my apartment. There is no basement under my unit. I checked when I moved in. The building plans posted in the lobby clearly show solid foundation. No sublevel, no tunnels, just concrete slab. The crack widened, the boards lifting slightly, and fingers, pale, dirt-covered fingers, pushed up between the gaps. I screamed, stumbled backward into the kitchen. My phone fell from my hand, the screen still glowing. Another text. Structural integrity compromised. Acceleration required. The entire building shook. Car alarms outside started blaring. I heard neighbors shouting in the hallway, doors slamming, then a deafening crack, not from my apartment, from across the street. I ran to the window. The lot was collapsing inward, like the ground had been hollowed out, the soil caving in on itself. The workers stood at the edge, watching, still. As the earth gave way, I saw it, a massive cavity beneath the lot, a tunnel system extending toward my building, and within it, rows of identical apartments, perfect copies, stacked beneath the street, endless. Each one lit by that same harsh white light, each one occupied by someone standing at the window, looking up at me. They all looked like me, same clothes, same posture, same terrified expression. One of them raised a hand, pressed it against their window, directly below mine. The fingers aligned perfectly, like a reflection, but slightly delayed. My phone buzzed again. Transfer pending. The crack in my floor exploded outward, boards splintering, concrete fracturing. A hand grabbed my ankle, cold, unnaturally strong. I kicked free, ran for the door, but when I opened it, The hallway wasn't my hallway. It was longer, stretched, doors on either side, all slightly open. Inside each one, another version of my apartment. And inside each one, another version of me, standing, waiting. They all turned their heads at the same time and smiled. Behind me, something climbed out of the hole in my floor, slow, heavy, dragging itself into my apartment. The scraping sound from earlier, closer now, right behind me. One of the copies in the hallway spoke, not aloud, but inside my head. "You noticed," another one whispered. "You interfered." And then, all of them in unison, "So you will replace." The lights went out, completely. The last thing I felt, hands, pulling from every direction. When I woke up, I was standing at my window. The lot across the street was empty. Morning traffic moving normally. No collapse, no cavity, no workers. My apartment looked intact. No crack in the floor, no splintered wood, no hole. But when I looked down, my reflection in the glass wasn't synchronized. It blinked, half a second after I did. And behind it, in the reflection, I saw them, standing in rows, watching. My phone buzzed, a final message. Integration successful. I don't know if I'm still above or below. I don't know if the workers are building something or replacing something, but I can still feel it at night. The vibration, the digging, closer, every time. If you live in a city and hear construction that only happens after midnight, if the lights shut off at sunrise, if your floor feels hollow, don't knock back, don't interfere, and whatever you do, don't look too long at your reflection. It might already be waiting to take your place.